Hey everybody, Hosdrone here, and it's Set Review Saturday! To the Journey has released. It's even had a week, so it is actually now legal for play. So let's just go ahead and dive right in and do my typical set review, where we talk about the cards and I give it a rating on a 5-point scale. So, there's a lot of cards that I already did articles for, that other people did articles for and discussed. And so there's going to be quite a few cards that we're only going to just go over briefly and then give a rating and then move on. So, and we actually start off with that with all three dilemmas. They each got articles and they each have been discussed at length already. So Archer Precise Bowman is going to be great with local trouble and being able to bring it in along with another dilemma with local trouble and killing people at planet missions that have a lot of icons on them. And there is, the possibility that you could get this at a mission with 5 icons at a planet, and your opponent's only got one of those icons. And so this has an outside chance in any game that you play of being able to kill 4. Most likely you're going to kill 1 because you're going to have it at a mission with, say, 2 icons, and you anticipate the opponent's going to be playing only one of those affiliations. But this is going to be a decent dilemma in a meta where if people start playing with missions with a bunch of icons on them, that you're going to be able to make that hurt. So Archer Precise Bowman gets a 4 because you're only gonna play 1 copy of it, but when you do play it, it's going to be decent because you're going to put it at a mission where it is going to be decent. Geological instability, unless total engineer plus geology present is greater than 7 minus the mission span. Place on mission now and start of each attempt kills 1 personnel, and it is unless, so the people who do face it will be stopped if they fail it. This is another good dilemma that's coming into the game. It is absolutely going to see play, probably as a one of in a lot of dilemma packages now, just because of the fact that it is potentially a wall, it is a qualifier the first time it is faced, and it kills it. And if they fail it, it kills at least 1. Sorry, at least 2. It's going to kill 1 now, and then the next mission attempt of minimum is going to kill another 1. And it basically makes it so that it's great as a lead-off to both kind of like dissuade people from doing red shirting again. So geological instability is definitely going to make it difficult for opponents to redshirt. They're going to see this dilemma. If they redshirt, that person dies, then this goes on, and the same net effect occurs, which is every subsequent attempt is going to result in the loss of a personnel. So geological instability, great dilemma. I'm giving this one a 4.5. I think it's that good for what it does, and the fact that it's a dilemma and therefore can go in any deck out there. The only thing that limits it is that it's a planet-only dilemma. So, yeah. Then we've got no buffer time. No buffer time is stop 9 minus X personnel, X is this mission's span, reseed dilemma if there's more affiliation icons facing you than this mission. I already did my article on buffer time. I'm giving it a 4. So basically, if I'm not mistaken, design can correct me on this if this was not what they were thinking, but geological instability and no buffer time basically complete the cycle that was started with persistent individuality, with the whole kills or stops or whatever, and number minus X related, and X is related to something, right? It's that basic idea here, right? So, yeah. In this case, it's 7 minus X, where X is the mission span. It's worded differently, but it's essentially what it is. So no buffer time, geological instability, complete that cycle. And if that's the case, if that's all the cycle, then it's one heck of a cycle, because all three of those dilemmas are going to see play and are good when they're faced, right? They're definitely good. So the only problem with no buffer time is that it doesn't go back underneath its own mission. It goes under a different mission. But as I talked about in my article, it's understandable why no buffer time did that, because if it just kept reseeding, it could be absolutely devastating. There are so many combos. If this went back underneath, there are so many combos where it would be just absolutely devastating. So it is a necessity that it has to go under a different mission, otherwise it would be way too strong. So, alright, so no buffer time, it's a solid 4 from me, and we move on. Send in the clones is basically the aid clone colony or aid clone or whatever it is. Missions, text, put onto a card, offloaded onto a card, plays on any mission requiring bio and medical, or Boreth, and then when you solve, download a copy of a personnel you own, and you get to ignore uniqueness for that personnel. Because it's now just an event, it's not unique itself, you can slap it onto several different missions. The cumulative rule still applies. You can't trigger it. You can't put multiple copies on a single mission and then try to trigger them all, because they're all going to trigger at the same time, and they're all going to want to do the same thing at the same moment, which is target you to do a thing. So my understanding is that the cumulative rule does apply here. But there are numerous missions that require bio and medical. You could build around it. That obviously makes for a tight mission set. The Alpha Quadrant's the place to be, because the Delta Quadrant only has 2 missions, I think, when I looked it up. And Mirror Quadrant has, I think, just 1. And then I don't think Gamma Quadrant has any. So it's really an Alpha Quadrant phenomenon here. But you can very easily do a Fed, like a TNG Fed deck, or some other Alpha Quadrant Fed deck. And you can stick this on. I think there's like 4 or 5 different missions that all like work well together. And you could just, keep doing that. You could build a deck around it to get multiple copies of certain personnel that are either have tons of skills or do a thing. Keep in mind that clones of a personnel that the personnel says once per game or has a special download icon. You're ignoring uniqueness, but the same problem occurs whether they're unique or they're universal. It is still just once per game, no matter how many copies you have in place. So copying somebody to get an additional use of a special download is not going to work. Still though, Send in the Clones just gets a solid 3.5 for me, because I assume that if you're downloading a copy of a unique personnel, you're doing it for a very good reason, which is already above average, and so 3.5 I feel is just what this card deserves. Abandoned Cube, Universal Outpost, non-aligned Delta Quadrant. Seed one at any Delta Quadrant mission with Borg in lore. Once each turn, you may draw a card when you play one of the 3 subcommand personnel aboard. Obviously, that's going to be non-Borg affiliation, because this card can't go in an actual Borg deck. So we're talking about non-Borg affiliated subcommand people. So it's an outpost that can give you a card draw that is, of course, already good. The problem is that this can only be seeded at certain missions. Now, the missions it can be seeded at are all decent, and we'll talk about some of them. But, just getting a card draw for doing a thing that you were probably already doing is good. Of course, so the shields being only 24 means that, and since it can't shoot back, unlike a real Borg cube, shields greater than 24 is not hard to get over. It's just 2 ships with matching commanders, most likely. So you have to be kind of weary of that if you're going to play this. Like a Hirogen deck is just going to eat this sucker alive, right? So if this is like your only facility and you go up against a Hirogen deck, be warned. But yeah, Other than that, the picture is great on the card, and the concept of the card is really good. I really like the concept of this card, so we'll give this one a nice 3.5 as well. Group of individuals, article was done on it. It closes the broken link off of 3rd of 5, and yeah, it just plays on your mission. When you solve with a crew or away team that concludes at least 6 non-aligned Borg or the particular group, the particular Nemesis icon, you may discard incident to download such a unique personnel. And it is just downloaded. Like, you still have to have a place for them to go. They don't download to that mission. They will download to wherever you could play them. It's decent. I feel like it's not what a lot of people may have hoped for with this broken link being closed, like what it would do, but it's not like it's bad. If there's a particular unique Borg that you need, then this is a way to get it. And if you play 3rd of 5, you just special downloads it. Doesn't cost your card play. So, but again, this will go in only a non-aligned Borg deck because you need at least 6 personnel when you solve it. So yeah, very limited use. We're just gonna give this. I hate to do this, but because it's just such a limited niche card, it's just going to get a 2.5 because it's not like it's bad, so it doesn't deserve a 2 or less, but it's just not great, and it's not really necessary. Like, the deck that you're playing, when you're playing this, doesn't really need this in order to function, probably. So, 2.5. Alright, let's move on to the missions. Acquire food replicator, Kazon only, 4 skills. Oddly enough, greed is not that difficult for Kazon, so that mission skill kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, but it's not actually too bad for the affiliation that's going to do it. So, what else is there to say? It goes in a Kazon deck, but it has a knock on it, and it's less than 35 points, but it doesn't have like a second affiliation icon on it. So you can't use it with Know Your Enemy or anything of that nature. It doesn't boost its own points in any way, so it's one of your off missions for your Homestead deck. I'm gonna give this one a 2.5 as well, because I just feel like there are so many options that will be better. I feel like they tried to. I feel like design shoehorned this to 30 points. To the Kazon, acquiring a food replicator is not. You would think that's a bigger deal, right? And should be reflected in the points that they get earned from it. I'm fine with the concept of them, like, here's a Kazon only mission where 30 points has just 4 skills or whatever. Don't use this storyline then. So I have a problem with the points and the storyline that they used for the mission. So I'm going to give it a 2.5, and I feel like I'm being generous. I feel like I could reasonably give this a 2 or even a 1.5 because I just don't like what they did with it. Right? The picture doesn't even really, the picture doesn't even really tell you. Like, if you didn't know what this was called, like, if the title was kept from you, and you just saw, like, if the title and the lore was taken off of here, and all you saw was the picture, that it's a planet, and it's these skills, it's Kazon only, and it's 30 points, do you think that acquiring food replicator is the storyline that you would go with? Uninhabited Nistrum planet, right? And it's 30 points, and it's these 4 skills. There's so many other just random things that it could be. So, you know what? I'm giving it a 2. I don't want to be generous anymore. 2. It's a 2. Okay? This is a swing and a miss if you ask me. Alright. Cleanse telepaths. The Devoured territory, Spect and Scandal vessels purging a telepath detected. This is the episode where they put Tuvok and a bunch of refugees that they found, and they put them in transporter suspension for a while. And then the leader of that group, he defects, and I think that it was all a setup, but then they anticipate the fact that it's a setup, and so when solved, kills all empathy and mind meld in the Delta Quadrant. Empathy and mind meld in the Delta Quadrant, like if you face like a Borg deck and they give the Queen empathy and then they're sharing empathy just because like empathy is a good skill for the Queen to be sharing, especially when they're going to do space and they want to be protected against, combination of GOM2 and V'ger. Time it right and you can kill your opponent's entire Borg that are sharing empathy. Likelihood, very small. Because if you see this mission, the opponent's going to be like on the, they're given notice. And then if you attempt this mission, you're probably not solving it on the first attempt, in which case then the opponent would switch off the empathy, and then you will solve, and then it's not a big deal, right? What this mission's probably better at is just as a like counter mission to playing against feds, right? Because the feds have empathy with Cass, and mind meld is on Tuvok and Vorik and whatever. There's some non-aligns that have one or the other, like the other Ocampas do. So, this is one of those, like, this is more of like a meta mission of like, okay, the meta kind of has turned towards people playing in the Delta Quadrant again. We can solve this mission and then we could like rip away some of the really good people from them. Realistically, you're not going to be able to stop like Kess from doing her thing, because they're either going to burn that right away or she comes out late after you've solved this mission. So like as a weapon against Kess, not really. But the skills are decent, just leadership, security, bio, treachery. And then of course like it's Romulan, not aligned, Cardassian, Kazon. So this is another mission where you can kind of pair it up with not aligned or Cardassian or Kazon. So for your know your enemy. I do like the picture on this one. The picture on this one's pretty good. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to give this one just a solid 3. In contrast with the previous mission, like what the mission does and the skills that you need and the picture that you see tells the story appropriately, and then it's all cohesive. And it being worth like 30 points makes a lot more sense of like they're just trying to root out subversives. They're not doing anything like quote unquote big and massive to their entire species. Like we're not trying to acquire a food replicator so we can feed all of our people finally. So yeah, it makes a lot more sense for this one to be 30 points. So yeah, solid 3. Alright, Collapse Spatial Vortex. The wormhole, the unique wormhole part of the Star Desert region. And you need astrophysics times 2 navigation plus a ship with weapons greater than 7. The skills, the requirements on this mission make perfect sense to the story. And then what I will say is that the affiliation icons for this are definitely shoehorned in. Like, doing the right thing to collapse the Malon waste route is something that the Feds and the Klingons would do, and maybe the Ferengi, but the Ferengi would probably just deal with the Malon. They would do business with the Malon and not have any qualms. So like the Romulans and the Cardassians and probably the Ferengi wouldn't really do this. So they're shoehorned in for gameplay purposes, which is fine. But I just take a little umbrage with it. 5 span, and it's another like region with a universal you can put with it, multiple universals you can put with it. You can definitely cordon yourself off. So in a weird way, that's actually nice. Like if you're worried about like Kazon Warfleet, if you want to play in the Delta Quadrant and you're like worried about Kazon Warfleet, you're worried about Hirogen Warfleet, you can kind of stick this mission and then the other Star Desert ones kind of in between you and them to buy you some time before they can get to you. Make it a little bit harder for them to get to you. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I'm just going to give this one a 3. I'll give it a 3.5 because I like the skills. I like the story. I'm glad to finally see this storyline on a mission. So, yeah. But the fact that it's only worth 30 again is, once again, like, they're shoehorning this concept in. Like, trying to save an entire species from another species basically killing them should be worth a lot more than 30. Right? Like, keeping the Malon out of polluting an entire region of space and killing all the locals, you'd think be worth more than 30 points. So, again, we're shoehorning points in order to, like, shoehorn know your enemy type shenanigans here instead of, and also Homestead, right? But, it's kind of like the two sides of the coin. Like, if you make it worth more than 30, because it should be worth more than 30, well, then it's not workable with Homestead. And the whole notion of Homestead is like, we're settling down and we're protecting our land, right? And keeping the Malon out protects your land, right? So, yeah. Yeah, so 3.5 for Collapsed Spatial Vortex. Alright, equalized treatment levels. This is the Med Bio combo mission that you can use Send in the Clones on. One of them in the Delta Quadrant. This is a great storyline, one of the late season episodes for Voyager. Medical times 2, biology integrity greater than 40 makes total sense. I don't know why the Hirogen would be involved in this. I don't really know that the Romulans would give a rat's patootie about this, but I guess they're there. So those are definitely some shoehorned in affiliations for gameplay balance, I suppose. At least they didn't put Ferengi on here, because then I would have been like, this is nonsense, right? So, or Cardassian. They didn't put Cardassian on this one, at least, thankfully. So, it's a good mission. I like it. It's a great mission just to use with, like, the Doctor. Like, the Doctor plus people for Feds is pretty good. Obviously, Vidian likes this mission a lot. And so, this is a good mission for Vidian because, yeah, you can do Send in the Clones on this one, and that can get you, like, an additional copy of Motura with Send in the Clones, which is not nothing. So I like this mission for the Feds and the Vidians anyway, and the other 3 doesn't really matter too much, probably, right? Again, that's, probably more working with Know Your Enemy. So, but yeah, this is a good mission in a Homestead deck for Vidian. Say that. So, all right, moving on. We'll give this one I'll give this one a 3.5. All right, Evade Assailants. A landed ship, engineer times 2, cunning greater than 35. So this is now this is where, like, I've been complaining about matching things up. Matching things up here for story and icons and blah, 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 blah. But this one nails it. This is the Vaadwaur, resurgence episode where they encounter them in hibernation for 700 years or 900 years or whatever it was, and then accidentally unleash them back on the quadrant, and these Cardassian wannabes think that they are bigger and tougher than they really are, and they, Yeah, think they're going to unleash their 700 or 900 years out of date, with galactic events, and they're so woefully undertech for the quadrant they now exist in. So, but I do love we got another mission that requires something other than just skills and attributes. A landed ship, which means it's perfect to just drop Voyager on the planet. So they are the best ones for being able to do that with the other affiliations basically just having to, use a hidden fighter. So, but with hidden fighter, it's not hard. You just hidden fighter in a non-aligned ship or any ship. Basically, you don't even need to be on that ship. It doesn't need to be staffed. It just has to be there. So this mission, in a lot of ways, is basically just requires engineer times 2 and cunning greater than 35, which is totally fine. So, yeah, I do like this mission. I like this mission for all those reasons. So we'll give this one a nice little 3.5, which is it's a good score for your random mission. So, all right, evade detection, nav arc science for these affiliations for 25 points. We've got the often reused asteroid prop. For that they're using again, and then the old '90s asteroid. Yeah, Nav Arc Science, kind of a weird grouping of skills, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. All three of those are very easily mission specialized. And then this is very like Delta Quadrant centric here with the main Delta Quadrant powers involved. And then this one does make sense for Romulans. They love evading detection, and then Feds are kind of shoehorned in for trying to dodge all the nasty. So this one makes a lot of sense. The fact that it's only worth 25 kind of blows, but it is what it is. We'll give this one a nice little we'll give this one a 2.5 to kind of mirror the 25 points that it's worth. I don't know that I can give it more than that, because at 25 points it's going to be hard to get it into, it's going to be hard to fit this one into your Homestead deck, really. Right? So, yeah, 25 points is kind of a killer when you're trying to do Homestead, because 40, 30, 30 is kind of where the math is at. Right? So, alright. That leads us to the Evade Detection 2, where Vidians get an outpost here. And this is a wonderful job by the art department. I really like this one. They really nailed this. Yeah, so good. So now the Vidians get an outpost. Keep in mind though, this outpost is just basic. It doesn't get the special download of Vidian Sodality. So if you want Vidian Sodality, you gotta either seed it naturally, or you gotta, seed a Vidian outpost elsewhere. Not the worst thing. So keep that in mind. And then of course it loses its 5 points as per gameplay balance tradition. I don't know how easy it is for Vidians to come up with archaeology. I want to say they've got 1 or 2 universal guys that have it, so I don't really think that. I mean, common skills and uncommon skills, generally speaking, are easy for Vidian because they can just organ harvest, get a guy. Vidians are incredibly good at building an app for that, so this is basically just the easiest 20 points ever. Vidians, though, have the easiest time with doing Homestead because their organ thefts being worth 10 points when they do it to an enemy, and the fact that they're going to willfully try to do it to every opponent, means that coming up with those bonus points that you need is not difficult. So Vidian Homestead is the easiest, which then makes sense for why design said we're only going to make this worth 25 and then have so that this version's only worth 20. So that makes sense from gameplay balance. I don't like it, that it, that the non-Vidian Outpost version kind of like takes flack off of this, but it is what it is, and I understand it from a gameplay balance. So the Outpost version, we're just giving it a 3 because like every Outpost 2 mission is basically a 3. It's good when you want it, when it's got a purpose for you, and otherwise you just don't care, but it's not like it's bad. So we'll give it a 3. Alright. Evade Neural Harvest. Awesome mission. Awesome image. Love it. It's a nebula. I love me some nebula. And stellar cartography as a mission skill is chef's kiss, right? It really should be on a lot more missions than it actually is, right? Like, stellar cartography just doesn't show up, even when there's like, it should be on this mission, right? So I'm glad to see it here. The affiliations that are involved here make sense for the most part. Hirogen is one that I find a little sus. Hirogen hunt, they don't evade. But then again, like, hunting is sometimes picking your spot, so we'll let it slide. But for the rest of them, it's the Alpha Quadrant. It's the main Alpha Quadrant powers. So, again, 30 points. This is definitely a Know Your Enemy bait mission. And because it's a nebula, the Borg like this mission for its use with the Transwarp Hub. So this mission basically has like all the things that I like. It's a nebula, it's got interesting skills, and it's got a wonderful photo that gonna look fantastic in foil. So, love it. This one gets a 4 because it's going to be usable by both the affiliations you see it on, and it's going to be usable by Borg on top of all that. So that's how it gets bumped from a 3.5 to a 4. So Evade Neural Harvest, solid 4, love it. Exile Enemies, Security, Treachery, Leadership, Navigation, score 5 points when you overcome a Hanonian land eel here. So this is one where it says 30, you can turn a dilemma into an additional 5 points. Your opponent's never going to put it there now because they don't want to give you 5 points. When you're going to have some other planet mission they can stick it at. So the only way it's worth the 5 points is if you put it there, and there's a lot better self-seeds you could do that are worth more than 5 points. That all said, I do love it that it's really only there for flavor. It's there for flavor. And in a good way. Like, this is the good kind of, like, let's do some stupid, like, text on here for flavor, but this is in a good way, right? So I like it. This is not we're not going to hammer it because, oh, this is not going to happen. We're going to appreciate it for it just being there. The fact that it's Kazon means that this is only the side where you're dropping the Voyager people off and saying, bye-bye, have a beautiful time. Yeah, so this is a good solid mission. This is one where the points and the skills and the storyline and and the picture, the image of the mission, it all makes sense. So this one gets a nice solid 3.5. I'm playing with this mission, not this mission. If I'm playing Kazon, right? If I want a 30-point planet, I want this one, right? Cool. All right. Explore micro wormhole, transporter skill, astrophysics ×2, plus officer, plus 5 points if you have temporal micro wormhole in play. I don't know why this isn't 30 points getting bumped to 35. Like, if you're putting this in your homestead deck or what have you, like, why is this not the base 30? Right? Like, yeah, you want to encourage someone to keep their temporal micro wormhole in play, but it's just not there for me. Like, I'm not seeding 2 micro wormholes, right, so that I can use one to bring in Telekra more to help me solve this bad boy, and then keeping the other one in play so I can score the bonus 5 points when, as I just said a moment ago, there's way better things to do for 5 points than have a single, like, seated doorway or a single self-seated dilemma, for the most part, right? So those 5 points are not really that big of a deal. Again, I do like that it's here and appreciate that it's here for the coolness factor, that, right? But the mission should still just be 30 points. I don't know why it's not just 30 points. Like, there are so many other missions that you're probably going to use in your homestead slash, know your enemy deck. And they're all worth 30 points. Why can't this one be worth 30 points? Oh, it goes to 35. There's a whole bunch of other missions that are worth 40 when you've got just a little bit extra. So I don't like that. I really don't like that. Although them calling it the Harry Kim wormhole, that's so funny. Right? Yeah, so I'm gonna give this a 3. I want to give it less, but I really can't, because this is just basically like design being overzealous on something. There's something that I don't know that maybe has to do with why it's only worth the 25, but it just feels like it was done dirty for no other reason than since someone wanted to do it dirty for whatever, I don't know. So I'm gonna give it a 3, not because it's not usable, not because it's bad. It should be a 3.5 mission if it was just worth the 30 points. So anyway, moving on. Explore Sleeping Giant. This is another super cool mission, image. Computer skill ×2 plus science plus either an engineer, a blue subcommand drone, or a Medusan. There's none of these yet. So maybe someday we'll get a Medusan. I don't know. But just needing an engineer or blue subcommand is perfectly fine. That's very easy to come up with, obviously. The affiliation icons on this mission, I guess, make sense. I don't know that there's any rhyme or reason, because it's just someone who came across a cube and is like, oh, let's check it out. Romulans make a lot of sense, Feds make a lot of sense, everybody else makes a lot of sense. So, right? 30 points, which again, it feels like if you're accessing critical information about the Borg, it should be worth a little bit more than just 30. But I'm not gonna say that it's necessarily worth more than 30 from my viewpoint. But it's one of the missions where you can now siege your abandoned cube, which makes sense because there's an abandoned cube right there in front of your face. So I like this mission. It's nice and solid. The skills make a lot of sense. So this is definitely just a nice little 3.5 mission. My rating on it's 3.5. So yeah, not much else to say. It's just there. It's going to get used in the decks it gets used in. Harvest Specimens. This is another great image from the art department. Love it. And here we are now all of a sudden with, here's a Vidian mission worth 40 points, right? Oh, hey, look, Stellar Cartography's back. Yay! So, someone explain to me why Vidian-only space mission that requires 3 skills and cunning is worth 40, and this is only worth 30, and this is only worth 30. Why did we do this? Why is this not hey, Vidians, here's 30, Vidians only, here's 30 points. Or, this one's worth 25. Why is this 15 points worth 15 points more? Is it just the concept of, we're chasing down the heroes? Can we get through their plot armor? I don't know. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why this is worth 40 and those are worth 25 and 30 and whatever else. Feels like this one should just be worth 35. This just seems like a normal, you need these skills and there's 35 points for you. I'm guessing it's so that I'm guessing that it's so that the Vidian in the mirror match, it's a dangerous mission to have because now your opponent can steal it. If they're not, they may not be playing with it, but they can steal it from you, right? If that's your argument, then we're right back to this should be worth 40 points because all Kazon would be interested in acquiring a food replicator. So why is this one not worth 40? This should be worth 40 to the Kazon. For the exact same reason. And for gameplay balance reasons. You're in a Kazon v Kazon matchup, acquiring food replicators what all the sects cared about. So you should be in a fight to you should be in a fight with with your mirror matched opponent. So I'm having some problems with some of the logic of what's happening here in this set with these missions. So this is another example of it. I'm not going to say that this, I'm going to say this is correct, right? This one's correct, and this one's wrong, and this one's wrong, which is why they got low scores. And so this mission gets a 3.5 because this is what it should be. It should be you need 4 skills and cunning, and the storyline is one where if you're playing a mirror match, you should both be caring about it from a theory, from a hypothetical, if this was real life, all the Deans would care about this kind of a thing, viewpoint. So again, those other missions are wrong, this one's correct. So this one gets the 3.5 while the other ones keep their low score because design did them dirty. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Alright. Now, for one of my favorite cards in the new set, Impersonate Sages, Treachery ×2, Greed, Anthropology, which is, for what the storyline is and everything. The fact that it's basically Ferengi's Kazon Vidian non-aligned, this mission, and then of course the image, just absolute chef's kiss. Great job, art. Great job, art team. I love this. This is so good. So, and then when seated, download Barzan Wormhole Adjacent. This is so great. Now, being able to get a free seed card like that, yes, this should be worth 25 points, not 30, not 35, right? This is 25 points, and the affiliations that do it are the ones that make sense, right? They're the ones that want to use the Barzan Wormhole to get to other quadrants for the most part. There could be an argument for the Hirogen, but them not being present in it is totally fine. From the perspective of the show, this was encountered very early, and the Hirogen are still 20,000 light years away yet, right? So this makes sense. This doesn't have Hirogen on it, right? Okay, and it's Impersonate Sages, not stop Ferengi from impersonating Sages, so no Fed icon, right? Makes sense. So I love this mission. I love the fact that this mission opens up access to the Alpha Quadrant for these aggressive affiliations at the cost of getting one seed card back, which is high premium stuff for these two affiliations, right? That's high premium stuff, and then you do have to have then you're also are having to invest the Alpha Quadrant mission, with the wormhole terminus, right? So if you're doing this, and you don't have to, it's may download. If you're doing this, you can save a seed slot, get access to the Alpha Quadrant, good stuff. Yeah, this mission's awesome. It's a 4.5 mission for me because everything about it is great. Image is great. The skills are great. What it does is great. The affiliations it's unlocked to is great. The storyline that's timed to is perfect. So yeah, definitely a 4.5 mission, if you ask me, and it's probably the best card in the set. Alright, apologize everybody, my throat's getting dry and I'm having a hard time speaking. Okay, on to the next one. Intercept Lone Intruder. Officer, honor, and then either the strength greater than 30 or a Kazon youth. This is the mission where Caden, or whatever his name is hunting Chakotay on his little shuttle. This is one where I can understand the 25 points. This is low. This is corner of the galaxy type stuff. It's a one-on-one little mano-a-mano thing here. It's not a mission that has an impact on the galaxy or the entire quadrant at large. It makes sense that this is worth 25 points for what the storyline is, right? And the fact that like the Feds and the Romulans and all that are locked out is perfectly fine. I don't know why the Cardassians are on here, but I'm guessing there's a gameplay reason for it. So, we're just going to give this a nice solid 3 because the skills and the points and the story, they all match up, but this is not a mission that's going to see like a ton of play. It's in the set because it's important to, you know, like, not all missions have to be like super playable. It's nice to just have some missions in the game that are there for the people that for people who want to, like, I want to play this episode beat, right? There you go. Then you get the 2 version of it where, oh, your little ship wandered into like our territory. Now we're intercepting a lone intruder makes even more sense. So in a way, this makes even more sense now. For all the reasons why I was like, why is the other one 25 going to 20? Like this one makes even more sense. Of like, okay, like we just have our outpost here. Why is your little shuttlecraft invading us? Get out of here, you little pest. And that's worth 20 points when you have an outpost there. So again, perfect 3.5. I like it. You know, Kazon have a built-in outpost. This easily gets a 3.5, even more than the non-outpost version of it, because this Kazon outpost does have transporters. Because card search. Let's see here. Has no transporters is on the actual Kazon Outpost version. This version does not say that, therefore it has transporters. So the Kazon built this one after Seska somehow invented transporters for them, or they bought it from someone else. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But this is also going to be fantastic for every Kazon deck that wants to seed Leader of the Sect. Right? You don't have to seed a Kazon Outpost anymore. You can just do this mission and then, you know, put your Space Door on it, put your Leader of the Sect on it, and you've saved another seed slot, and boom, Bob's your uncle. So, if anything, this mission's a 4 for my rating. You know what? I'm going to do that. We're locking it in. This is a 4. Because if this is a 3.5 and this gives you a lot more, especially for a Kazon deck, it's a 4. And Kazon are the ones that are going to be doing it. I don't see non-Kazon even seeding this mission ever. So if you're playing Kazon, those extra 5 points are never worth it, right? You'd rather have the built-in outpost with transporters and take 5 less points. Because what you get for having an free outpost with transporters to seed your Leader of the Sect and saving a seed slot is very big. Right? So there you go. 4 for Intercept Lone Intruder 2. Alright. Now, investigate hollow technology malfunction. Engineer computer skill security. That's the storyline that we all know. I can see it being worth 30 points. The affiliation icons that are on it are the only ones that make sense. So thank you, design, for not trying to shoehorn anybody in on this one. And we're just going to give this a 3.5. I don't need to talk about it. Like, these skills are just so, yeah, it is what it is. They make sense, and they're good. So we'll just give this a 3.5, because we're going to jump immediately to, again, the Kazon version of it is worth 5 less points, and then, boom, here's your nice little outpost here. Um, and again, just like the Vidian one, there's no special download on this one. You don't get the download on the Kazon one either, but the Kazon doesn't really matter as much, right? I know that the Kazon like using it so that they can special download it onto their warships and then report directly to it, but I don't know that that's as necessary for Kazon. Kazon, you know, if they're putting a bunch of ships in play, like, they can just keep reporting to the Delta Quadrant. They can do impersonate sages, you know, and just keep pushing ships through with reinforcements. They don't need to be, like, reporting directly there. The Kazon don't really do a lot of Alpha Quadrant missions for the most part. They have their options, but it's not like the Vidians or the Hirogen where, like, the ability to report directly to it's important, because they like to operate with one ship, maybe two ships. Kazon like to operate with, like, 3 or 4. Right? So, with Hirogen here, Holotechnology Malfunction 2, you get a built-in outpost, but you don't get that special download, which is important, which means that I don't know that this is going to... This one is the one that I don't know is going to see much play, because the special download for the Hirogen is vitally important. So, realistically, this is the one where this side will probably not see much play, and the regular version's the one that's going to see play. Alright, nuclear, so just a 3. This one just gets a 3. Nucleate genetic material, 35 point, non-aligned only planet, exomedical, treachery times 2. I would have liked to have seen biology on this mission for no other reason than it could open up clones. I think that would have been hilarious in a weird way, but it does kind of, doesn't really match up with the story, but it could have been fun. I'm not upset that it isn't there, so it's not taking a knock for not being there. So we've got exomedical treachery times 2, removes males killed here from the game. So yeah, realistically, for the most part, that's not going to be like too terribly impactful. People are not recurring their personnel out of their discard pile much anymore, right? And so, like, when somebody dies, they're effectively gone for the most part, usually. So I like it as just like, here's these skills, 35 points in the Delta Quadrant, Bob's your uncle, right? Keep in mind, if your opponent battles you here, or you battle them, it's not removes males killed during mission attempt, it's just killed here. And that means, like, in space too. So there's always the possibility that you can use this offensively too. Your opponent just happens to be over this mission, and then you fly over and you battle them and you kill some dudes. Literal kill some dudes off their ship with tactics or something, and you could actually get those people removed from the game. So all in all, I'd say it just gets very fairly balanced here. So yeah, I like it. Just a solid 3.5 mission. I don't know what deck's going to play it, but we'll see. We'll find out. Alright, optimized performance venue I already did the article on. This one gets a solid 4.5 for its use in both Homestead and in 2-mission win decks. So it gets that extra half a point bonus from it being what would otherwise be a 4 for doing either of those things. But it gets a 4.5 because it can do both. Protostar Studies, Science, Diplomacy, Honor, Stellar Cartography. You need a hologram in your crew to be able to attempt it, but you don't need an entirely hologram, you just need a hologram. So this is basically open to everybody, but it doesn't fit in with Homestead, it does not fit in with Know Your Enemy, and so realistically, the best use of this is Answer Distress Signal. So you get a 40-point space with holograms, then you do this one with your holograms for 35, that gets you to 75. And then maybe you fly into the Alpha Quadrant for your last 25 points plus in the Alpha Quadrant. And do it that way. And again, you can do impersonate sages over here to save a seed slot on your Barzan wormhole, and like Hirogen holograms. Oops. Oh, what is that stupid mission? Alright. Alpha. Space. 30. And I know the Dominion are on it. Preliminary incursion. Yeah, has Hirogen. So you are able to be like, okay, let's do Hirogen holograms. We'll do answer to stress signal. We'll do protostar study. Then we'll run through the Barzan wormhole, and well, that is space. So never mind. You can run through the Barzan wormhole, still be playing Hirogen. They still have to like see dilemmas at it because they don't know if you're going to do like your planet mission to the Delta Quadrant or do the wormhole Terminus Alpha Quadrant. So you run into the Alpha Quadrant and then go from your copy of Preliminary Incursion to your planet and solve it. So I see Protostar Study possibly seeing some play. And also, since it doesn't have any affiliation icons, you concede, the board concede a Unicomplex at it. And this mission provides a way to kind of hide your status of the board deck maybe a little bit better. And then being it worth, you know, and this is your mission that may not get duplicated then. So, I don't know. We'll just give Protostar Study a nice solid 3. I feel like it's not bad, but I just don't know what it's good at yet, right? So, give it a 3. Pursue Holographic Parade. Hirogen only, 35 points. Has exactly the skills that you would think. And then Strength with this instead of something else. Has a cool picture. That is a pretty cool image. I do like it. So, we'll give this one a nice 3.5 for just being good. You know, giving Hirogen, you know, a mission that is like, this is definitely in their skills wheelhouse, and then their strength is their best attribute. So in a lot of ways, it's just a good solid mission for them. It's a good solid option that no one else can steal. It is unlikely to even play. So as long as you're not playing the Hirogen mirror match, you're not going to duplicate it, which is kind of important consideration. But it doesn't work with Homestead, it doesn't work with Know Your Enemy. So, but Hirogen, I've never really cared about those things much anyway, so there you go. Raid Technology. This is a fun one. Vargas region. We do have a nice little space planet Vargas region combo here, so we have another little region. First you steal the stuff and then you go sell it. Or you try to fend them off from stealing it and then you go collect it again. Which is funny because like feds can't do this one for the obvious reasons, but they can do this one, and there's only non-aligned overlap here. So it's funny. I think it's perfect that way. That non-aligned gets you access to doing both sides of this, but nothing else does. So, in the Delta Quadrant, though, you kind of naturally have access to non-aligneds for the most part. Like none of the affiliations, other than, I mean, Vidian typically don't, but everybody else does. And so, Vidians will take your technology, and they won't let you get it back. Oddly enough. But I like this Acquisition Transporter skill, then either Thief or Treachery ×2 is perfect skills for what the storyline is. The image is really great. I like this image. I like that it's through up here. I mean, that's pretty fun too. They did a good job of like keeping the image extended through the frame. And yeah, 30 points makes total sense. It's a Pirate Corridor. That's pretty fun. So we'll give this one a nice 3.5. Reclaim stolen goods as the back half of it. And then requiring either a hologram or a leadership personnel. Like obviously leadership is very easy, so you don't need a hologram. And so this is just doable by basically anybody who've got access to honor. I mean, on this mission, on this grouping, like honor shouldn't be too hard. So yeah, we'll give them both a nice little 3.5s. They're not bad. They're not great, but they're not bad. Like, so they at least a 3, but a 3. I'll give them a 3.5 just because I like the images and I like the storytelling of these missions together. We'll give them 3.5. Salvage Borg technology, another lost cube. Engineer times 2, and then either cybernetics or acquisition makes a lot of sense. This is probably the less likely to be used because cybernetics and acquisition are a little bit harder to come by. As far as skills are concerned, cybernetics takes deliberate effort. Acquisition kind of takes deliberate effort, but it's perfect for Ferengi, and Ferengis do like to salvage, so it's great for them. And Ferengi do show up in the Delta Quadrant now, especially like TNG Ferengi show up in the Delta Quadrant a lot now. So this will be a good mission for them. And then of course with access to the Fed icon for them for Know Your Enemy is great. So this mission's actually even though as far as the non-aligned like abandoned cube Borg deck is concerned, this is probably you're probably going to use it, but it's kind of your secondary mission. This is still a good mission for other decks, right? So this one gets a nice 3.5. I do like the image on this one too. The image is fantastic. I like that we're getting different, like vastly different, like looks at abandoned Borg cubes here. That's pretty cool. And then of course this is in the Necrit Expanse region. So it's another mission where you can seed your Necrit Supply Depot at instead. So, and then with the Necrit Expanse region has been, gets another mission in it. So, Necrit Expanse now contains these 3 missions. So now you can have at least half your missions be in a particular region, and best part is that this is a homestead zone now. You can just play these 3 as long as you've got a blue drone. You can do your 30-30-40 and not leave the region. So Salvage Borg technology is like subtly a fantastic mission. It's very subtle. You have to think about it. You gotta squint maybe a little too, But like for Feds even, you bring in Leia Brahms and holographic Leia Brahms in as mission specialists, and one of the 2 of them are going to get you an additional 5 points. And then when you do, assist cooperative, that the same engineer is there for you, or computer skill is there for you. And then if you have engineering and computer skill, you've got built-in bonus points. So, any of the blue drone people can get you the basic what you need, and your mission specialists are free to cover point loss. And then because you have a nice little tight region here, then you're that much more likely to be able to have a new Earth get seeded close to your region. And so then that way you can start at Voyager. You can start either at Briori 7, or you can start at Conduct Perilous Trade with the Kyrians, or you can do what's coming up here, which is Seek Sporocystian Life Form. And you can have those other missions all be there, so that you're like all next to them, probably. At least one of them is next to them. So there's a lot of different options here for a nice little tight grouping that you're going to be able to just kind of stay in that Necrit region if you want to. Yeah. I think it's pretty good. So we're going to give Salvage Board Technology a 4 because it's oddly flexible and it works in a bunch of different decks and it gives you access to things you didn't have. A little bit of access to things you didn't have before, and like I said, it's a sneaky good card, so we'll give it a 4. And then we will move on to Seek Spore Assisting Lifeform. I've already gone over that one. That one gets a nice solid 4.5 for me because having the ability to choose between Liberation and Seek Spore Assisting Lifeform for Caretaker's Array, while also being but mainly though the fact that it opens it up that you can do Caretaker's Array with the Kyrian time location is awesome. So now you can get a seeded ship from Caretaker's Array, and then you can also get a download ship in the past, and that opens up Feds. I mean, it opens up Feds a ton, but it opens up a lot of affiliations, like all the Delta Quadrant affiliations. Like if you're gonna do Seek Spore Assisting Lifeform and the Kyrian Vascan planet, you're gonna have to basically assume that you're gonna have, depending on how the meta shakes out and stuff like that, but at least early on in this new meta, you gotta pretty much assume that those two missions are gonna get duplicated. And that you're gonna have to do other things. Because if you play against another Delta Quadrant deck, there's every chance that one or both of those missions are gonna get duped. So just keep that in mind. But it's fantastic. It gets a 4 easy. We'll move on to Test Transwarp Engines. Engineer ×3 or Navigation ×3, and then a Type 9 shuttlecraft. This is a perfect mission for the shuttle drop Voyager deck. That is definitely happy to get a mission that is highly unlikely to ever get duplicated and that they can just do. But realistically speaking, since you need a Type 9 shuttlecraft, this mission will not be used in any other deck probably. Because even the Delta Flyer doesn't help. So this mission just gets a 2.5 because of its very limited use. Like, it's the Type 9 shuttlecraft requirement I both like because it's something alternate that we don't always see, but it's very restrictive, and so unlike landed ship, which is a lot more broad, this is a lot more restrictive, which means this one just gets a 2.5. Track Mutated Crew, not going to even talk about just because like there's not much else that I haven't already said that people don't already know and haven't already figured out. It gets a 4 for all the obvious reasons. Traverse Void, low-key might be the best image in the set. Low-key might be the best image in the set. It's universal, which means you can spread out as much of this beautiful photos that you want to have in front of you, which is fan-freaking-tastic. So, and then, oddly enough, no stellar cartography. Aww! But it is worth 10 more points if you solve another Star Desert mission. So you can do one Traverse Void for 20, do the next one for 30, get to 50, and then if you have a 50-point planet that you want to do, or 40-point planet plus 10 points or whatever, if you've got 15 bonus points, somehow you can just do a 35-point planet. Keep in mind that when you do multiple universals, they're now open to your opponent stealing them. But I don't know how much your opponent's going to want to steal them because they're only worth 20 points to the opponent. So, yeah. But if they steal one, they might steal both, right? If they have it locked up, they can take an easy 50 points away from you, like really fast. If they see dilemmas that they know that they can get through like very fast, then you might just be handing over 50 points. So realistically, I don't know how much a person would want to ever do more than just one Traverse Void. You just want to pair it with your the spatial one, do it for 30, then do your Star Desert, your Traverse Void for 30, and then just come up with 40 points from something else. There's obviously many, there's Assist Cooperative that we've just talked about. So, there's a lot of ways you can do it. And then you can just homestead that way, which is pretty cool. Yeah. We'll give the Traverse Void a 3.5 as well. I'd like to give it a 4 based on the photo. I mean, my gosh, it's pretty cool. So 3.5 or 4, just depending on how much you feel that the image is worthy of that additional half a point. But I do like Astrophysics plus Honor, and then no Stellar Cartography. Oh, we were just talking about how much we like Stellar Cartography on things. But it is cool that this is like the one time where this is like, it's actually super appropriate. No Stellar Cartography. Funny thing is though, would have been hilarious to me, would have been super hilarious to me if it would have been Astrophysics plus Honor plus no Stellar Cartography and no navigation. And then they could have possibly bumped this up to 30 points by like, okay, you can't have any navigation, which for a lot of decks, like the Astrophysics plus the Honor without being paired with Stellar Cartography or navigation could have been super cool. They could have just been like, you know, they could have made this worth 30 and then it said plus 10 if you have another one, because then that would have made it really cool that you just need to do a 30-point planet to go along with it. So for your homestead, so that would have opened up a lot of missions. Then we're talking about a lot of these other like randos like Track Mutated Crew and stuff will work better with them. Reclaim Stolen Goods gets a lot better that way. So like I said, I would have liked to have seen Traverse Void be worth 30 as well, and then plus 10 if you do another Star Desert, but then make this really hard. Like make this significantly harder where, yeah, Astrophysics, Honor, and then no Stellar Cartography and no navigation. I wonder if they ran out of room to be able to do that. But that would have been super cool if they could have done that. But ship has sailed, literally. Yeah, so we'll give this a nice solid 3.5 to a 4. Like I said, I think it's a 4 based on the image, but if you don't like the image as much, 3.5. All right, lastly, we're not going to go over these two because they're just pre-existing cards that exist in the game. Okay, utilize Abandoned Network, front side, back side. Again, amazing job, art team. I cannot express how amazing this is. Like, this is seriously good stuff. Like, seriously high-level good stuff. So whoever worked on the art, you have my personal kudos. Or if it was multiple people, you guys did amazing. This is fantastic. And I can't wait to have it in foil. Alright. Wormhole mission. So and again, this is the one where the original version doesn't exist yet. We only have the version 2 of it, which makes it even more cool. But then once we get the real version of it, if we ever get the real version of it, I don't know that we ever will, it will then of course be worth 35 points and be exactly the same, just no wormhole, right? I don't know vis-a-vis story-wise if it ever will, because I don't know how you do this without having the wormhole be implied, right? But reactivate Borg Conduit is pretty cool, and then the skills, you know, there's so many ways that you could have taken the skills for this. I mean, computer skill makes sense, you know, as well. Engineer makes sense. So I don't know that. I feel like they went with these skills for gameplay reasons, but sure. But a space mission with a wormhole is in the Delta Quadrant is super good. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you can either start in the Delta Quadrant, utilize Abandoned Network 2, and then pair it with one of the planets in the Alpha Quadrant, and then that way you can do a 3-mission win without having to have any wormholes in hand or anything like that, and be able to pair, like, manage your spaces and planets better, right? Whereas, like, if you did it before, you need, like, 2 planet limits that each have a wormhole to go through without being stopped. This way, you have a space mission, right? Yeah. So I like this. The image is worth a lot. Skills are fine. Built-in wormhole's great. It's still 30 points. You didn't even have to use the wormhole. Fact is, you can just use this for the 30 points as it is for these affiliations and be perfectly happy with it. Not even necessarily need the wormhole. But utilizing the wormhole is great, because if you have a wormhole in hand, you can jump to the other side of the Delta Quadrant if you need it, jump to whatever other mission you want to go to, or jump to the Alpha Quadrant and do something else. Kazon love it, because now they have access to both. They can do impersonate stages with the Barzan wormhole, or they can surprise you with a wormhole. So it gives Kazon Battle a lot of flexibility. So we'll give this one a nice solid 3 point. No, we'll give it a 4. Again, the image is just so good. We'll give it a 4. And that's the set. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think we're going to, as of right now, this is a very preliminary number, but I feel like the set's at around a 3.5 as well, which is where I like to have a lot of sets be. I think I've said this before in a previous video, that if your set gets above a 3.5, if it gets into that 4 territory, it means you put a lot of good, powerful cards into the game, like all at once, and that can kind of get to be a little dangerous. If you're below the 3.5, then you probably didn't push hard enough in your design. So I feel like saying that this set feels like a 3.5 is probably the best compliment I can give to it. The good cards are really good without being great, and there's only a few stinker cards in here that have, I think, a lot to do more with like design's choices than about the card itself ending up being good or bad, right? So we'll give the set a 3.5, 3.6, 3.7 zone, and I think we'll be happy with it. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. This is my last regular video for the season. I'm going to go basically into my off season now, where I may put out videos, I may not until the fall. Like, I may do videos on like North American Continentals results in May. I'll probably find time to do a video on that maybe, but I'm just trying to say that any videos I do for the next 4 months are going to be because I feel like it, not because I feel like I have the time. Because now, once we get to spring and summer here, my schedule gets very busy, like it does for everybody. I'm very busy with golf, I'm very busy with friends, traveling, vacations, etc. So, yeah. So I really hope you enjoyed this 2025 to 2026 video season that I did. And please, yeah, feel free to comment below your own thoughts on the set, how you feel, whether if there's any particular cards you agree or disagree with me on. I would love to hear that, because everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and I'm kind of curious what other people's thoughts are on this. So, like I said, please leave a comment below, and have a great summer, everybody. Have a great tournament season. Enjoy regionals, continentals, and worlds. I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of it turns out this year. So, all right, guys, it's been a good season. I appreciate all of you who are my regular watchers, my regular patrons. I appreciate you guys a lot for making me feel like this is worth my time. So, all right, love y'all. Have a great summer. May the profits be with you.